What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for the preview stream and the review stream from the Rangers game, and obviously, like I said, preview for Southampton on Sunday. 7 p.m. kickoff, a bit of an awkward time, strange time on a Sunday. Do we know
why that is?
I'm not sure. There's 2 games at 7 o'clock on Sunday.
No, it's peculiar. It's not like a scheduling at this time of year or something.
Is it an Amazon thing? Or I don't know. Is it
maybe?
On Amazon? I don't know. But yeah. Obviously, Sim came back from Glasgow early hours of the morning. He was in the away end last night. So I guess let's start there. Like, what was the vibe like in the ground, outside the ground? How was your trip?
Everything was great apart from the football, I think.
As it always is with Tottenham away
Classic
days.
Spurs away in Europe. But no, it was really great being up in Glasgow. Obviously, Ibrox is one of those stadiums I think everyone, really wants to be. It's still got like that aura of like a classic old school stadium, but it's big. It's like 50,000 and it was rocking and the fans are bouncing and it was a really electric atmosphere. You can see the crowd are really up for it. Their crowd, I should say. I think the Spurs away end was a bit flat, to be honest. Wasn't much to shout about. We got going a couple of times, but when we're battling against the Ibrox cauldron, it was a tough battle, I think it's fair to say. And I think Rangers, the fans, it was obviously as well as the game went. I think they had more to shout about, it's fair to say, than Tottenham, who were just pretty tepid throughout most of the game, and it wasn't a great performance from Spurs. We didn't really seem up for it, and I think maybe Rangers fed off the crowd, or maybe the crowd fed off Rangers. Either way, they were reinforcing each other, and it was extremely loud, and it was a really, really electric atmosphere, and they had loads of flags, they had loads of scarves flying around. It was something to witness. It was something. It was cool to see in a way, but obviously being there in the away end and hoping for Spurs to do something in this game and trying to cheer on the team as best as possible, it felt like we were fighting a losing battle at times.
It's a bit disappointing to hear that, because I feel like away ends, no matter how the team's playing, should be backing the team and supporting the team and singing the songs. I remember...
I don't think we weren't singing. It's just, we were drowned out every time.
But like, we were drowned out at Galatasaray, but I think it was non-stop at Galatasaray from the Spurs fans, and no matter what the opposition were doing, and I feel like that's the way it should be, So it's a bit disappointing to hear that the away end was a bit flat. Would have been different if I was there.
I'm sure.
Look, it was a disappointing performance, or more than disappointing on the pitch. It was a terrible display for the most part, apart from about 10 minutes in the last stage of the second half after the subs happened. I felt it was shocking. However, the end result doesn't exactly leave us in the worst situation with 1 point outside of the top 8 with 2 games left to play, which I want to get in. We'll get into the standings in a bit. So like, the bigger picture in terms of this result, it's not the end of the world, but the performance just carries on basically what we've been seeing over the past however long it's been, 2-3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe. It's just not good enough. It really isn't. And we talk about players being out on their feet, really tired. The same players keep playing, getting overplayed. But even players that haven't been overplayed, the likes of Timo Werner, and some other players on the pitch yesterday, just not at the races. We'll get into the comments that Ange made about Timo after the game. A
lot of getting into this stream.
There is a lot of getting into, so when are we actually going to get into it? But, look, I just felt like it was just a shocking display. Rangers completely outplayed us for the majority of it. First half was just classic. It was just classic. Just Spurs giving the ball away needlessly, trying to play out the back. Bissouma kept giving it away. Bissouma was shocking. Timo was shocking. Bentancur, I thought, was probably our best midfielder in the first half. Pedro Porro, I don't know what he was doing. Destiny Udogie, I thought their right winger, Cherney, I think it was giving him such a torrid time. But most of their attacks were coming down the left-hand side with Pedro. But
to be fair, that first half, I don't remember too many chances they had. As much as they were looking dangerous, they had that one chance. I think Cherney had a shot at the near post from which Fraser saved with his feet. I don't remember too many other real chances they actually had.
They were just dominating, though, weren't they?
Yeah, they were the better team.
No control. We didn't create anything, did we?
No, Was it Maddison's free kick? No, we had that one chance. I think it was given offside anyway, where I think Timo plays it in and Brennan has a shot that was saying. I think that was
he
right.
was anonymous as well once again.
That was right at the end of the half, but I think that was given offside anyway. I don't remember too many shots on goal we had. Maybe it was one from a corner. We were pretty much...
I think the reason being for that as well was because of Dragoshin and Archie Gray. Like, Archie Gray was winning everything in the air in that first half. I was so impressed with him. And Radu Dragusin, you know, he was kind of guiding him through the game. And they formed quite a good partnership throughout the game, I thought, Radu and Archie. And
Archie was composed and he did well.
He did very well. And, you know, what we've said about Archie a lot is that he's, like, really nervy from the start and he, like, grows into the game. But I thought he performed and showed up in the first half as well, Archie. So I was really impressed, and it kind of plays into like the Vicario Forster narrative, how everyone's so worried about Vicario being injured. Fraser comes in and plays really well. It was very similar with Archie.
Yeah, I think he came in. A lot of people worried about him, and he was very composed. He was with the ball at his feet. He was able to get the ball on the floor and just make sure that he kept the ball ticking over, and he was battling, winning his duels. And yeah, I thought he did really well in very, very testing, trying circumstances. I got to give him a lot of credit. So fair play to Archie Gray. Forster, as you as well, made some real crucial saves.
Save right at the end.
Bloody
man.
hell, that was a big save. I think in a way, obviously they didn't create much in the first half, but when they scored, it was obviously no surprise.
Like, yeah, it was coming.
You definitely felt a big. They were going to create a big chance and get a big moment. But all I was saying is, you know, in that first half, for all their domination, they didn't do much. But again, they also resting players as well. Apparently. I mean, I don't know what Rangers' first team is.
They rested players because they got cup final against Celtic.
Yeah, they got a
weekend.
cup final, so they weren't playing their strongest team. Obviously, I know Tavernier, he played, and he's their best right back. So I know for sure he's one of their best players. But yeah, I know I've read after that they weren't playing their strongest team, so maybe they had a bit of lack of quality. But they just seemed more aggressive, winning the second duels. That was the thing, 50-50s, they were coming on top. And we couldn't get the ball in their half. And we needed something to change badly at half-time, which obviously we brought on Decky. But I have to say, I don't understand the thinking of why we brought Decky on, which is fine, but then we're playing three forwards out of position. We played Son up front, Decky on the right, and Johnson on the left. I don't get that. Why not just, if you're going to do that, just play Son on the left, Decky up front, and Johnson on the right. It's so simple. But he goes that way at the start of the second half. I didn't understand that whatsoever.
The whole first half, I was sitting here and saying, we need a presence up top, because we were actually trying a couple of long balls and no one, you know, we couldn't gobble anything up because it was a real lack of presence up front with Son there. We needed a Dom Solanke or even a Will Lancashire. I was saying one of them has to come on.
Lancashire started against Galatasaray and he scored. I know he got sent off, but, you know, that... What was the reason to not start him in this game? It can't have been as an intense
atmosphere. One of them had to come on, right? And we tried this Brennan Johnson on the left thing against Bournemouth, right? And we said at the start of that game, this isn't going to work. He always looks uncomfortable on the left. And then when the game's on top of us in the second half, I don't understand why he's trying that again when there are many other options that he could have gone for.
On the pitch as an option. You literally have an option on the pitch. You play Decky up front, you play Son on the left, and Johnson on the right. It's right there in front of you. There was no excuse not to go with everyone in their favoured position. It just looked... I don't know why that was the case, why he did it that way. It made no sense to me. The only reason I can think of is he was determined for some reason to get Decky on the wing, and that's the best way he saw going forward. But I don't understand. Decky's played up front before, if you're going to go that way. He's played in the centre. And he's done a decent job at times. So if you're going to bring Decky on, then do that. Also, as I was saying, Will Lancashire, I don't understand why not. You're going to rest Lanky, which is fine. I think he does need a rest. You know, he works so hard. I don't have a problem with that. But Lancashire's played against Galatasaray. He scored against Galatasaray. That was probably an even more intense atmosphere than Rangers. So what was the reason to not play him? Is it because you don't feel he's ready? Well, when he's played, he's looked like a threat, I think. And I thought against Galatasaray, he scored and I know he got sent off, but he was a bit of a handful. He put himself about.
And let's be honest, it's lesser opposition than Galatasaray.
Yeah, so... And he's obviously a bit more of a physical presence than Sonny up front. You know, if it's because you can't say it's because you don't want to put him in an intense atmosphere, because you've already done that. And I won't say he passed the test because he got sent off, and obviously that wasn't great. But I thought in general he gave them a tough time, and he did get a goal. So I think that would have been a perfect opportunity to put him in from the start.
Yeah, but also it's on top of that. You're 100% right in what you're saying. But on top of that, we're bemoaning players playing the whole time and being overplayed, and the injury crisis is already stretching us as a squad. But these players that he doesn't want to give a go to have barely played any minutes, and surely they'll be fresh and chomping at the bit to come in. Yeah, look, he's a 19-year-old. He's inexperienced, but we've backed him to be part of the squad this season, Will Lancashire.
Exactly. If you've kept him around and play him, you've kept him around for a reason, isn't it? To give him chances. And I thought when, we played against Ferencváros, we played against Galatasaray, and so I was thinking, okay, he's giving him some chances, and this would have been a perfect opportunity to throw him in again and see how he does. And again, if it doesn't go right, just like it didn't go right, you've still got Solanke there to come on anyway, and it would have been the same result. All that would have happened is you just give Lancashire more minutes. Son up front, I know he did a good job last year, but this season he doesn't seem to be up to it whenever he's playing in that position. I think maybe is it because we're just used to having a presence up there. Maybe last season we didn't really know what it was like, and now we do, and we're just so used to having that Solanke presence that we're always looking to have a striker in the forward line to kind of hold the ball up, and Son's just not able to do that at the moment.
To be fair though, like second half of last season, I mean, I think he did really well in the number 9 for the first half of the season, but second half of the season we did kind of kept bemoaning the lack of presence that we had in that position. So I think it is kind of more of the same. Maybe it is a bit worse, but yeah, we just need a presence up there. And Timo Werner, man, like, he was so shocking. Got hauled off at half time, not for the first time this season either. I felt like in the first few minutes, he was actually looking really dangerous. He got the beating of Tavernier once. He was seeing a lot of the ball in the first 10 minutes. And then after that, it was so shocking. Every time he got the ball, it was incredibly bad. Like, really incredibly bad. There was one time, Fraser Forster plays an unbelievable ball over the top to him.
Beautiful.
Unbelievable. And I was like, Fraser, where'd that come from? And he literally just runs it out of play once again. And how many times are we going to sit there and watch Timo Werner just literally just run it out of play for no apparent reason?
Even when he was playing all right last year, he was still doing that. That's just like a staple of Timo Werner. If he's on the pitch, he's going to run it out of play at least once a game, and it came at a really bad time, obviously, yesterday. I want to just touch on Forster just to quickly on that pass, because to be fair, he's shown that ability to do that drop kick pass a few times now in a Spurs shirt in recent weeks. So fair play to him. Like, a lot of people criticised his ability to play out the back, and I still think when the ball's on the floor, he doesn't look completely comfortable. But that drop kick pass, clearly he's capable of pulling that off, and that was a beautiful one right into Timo Werner's path. And Timo, a German international, a player who's won the Champions League. Anyway. He's a German international. He's had how many caps he had? He's had a lot of caps for Germany.
When was his last cap?
I don't know, but he still had a lot of caps for Germany, and he can't control a football. It's ridiculous. And I guess maybe we'll talk about Andrew's comments at the end. But
no, let's talk about it now. Let's talk about it now, because I felt like it was strange for me for Ange to come out like that. As much as Timo wasn't good enough, I didn't think Ange was that kind of guy to really lay it, because they were really harsh words, weren't they?
They were
really harsh words.
But he was, but before anyone, just to clarify things, he didn't just come out of the blue. He was asked directly about Timo, so it wasn't as if like he just mentioned Tino out of the blue and brought him up. He was asked about Timo, and he said he answered honestly.
He did answer honestly, maybe a bit too honest for some people's like if that's Jose Mourinho in a press conference saying something like that, like he is getting criticised till the cows come home, calling out, like criticising that heavily one of your players in the press. Like, what Ange has been doing recently, he's been saying, they're giving their all at the moment. And look, maybe Timo wasn't giving his all, but this is what he said in the press conference before the game, talking about Cuti Romero. He said, he says he realised a lot what he said was good, and he wasn't the right way of dealing with it. And that's the same way I wouldn't criticise a player publicly. That's literally what he said the day before the game. And then he comes out and says that after the game. It's just like the two comments don't match up with each other. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, he tried to justify it today in his press conference in the morning. He was asked, why did you criticise Werner when you said those words? And he said he wasn't criticising him. He was giving an assessment. I mean, I just think that's being a bit pedantic. It's clearly criticism. He said he wasn't up for the fight. He said that he's asking 18-year-olds to put in big shifts at the moment and really step up for the team. And he's a senior international. He's one of the senior players in the team, and he's not doing his role. And that for me is criticism. I mean, if that's not criticism, I don't know what is criticism. He says, he was asked what the difference is between criticism and an assessment. He says an assessment is trying to be constructive and tell people where they're going wrong so that they can be better. Criticism is just telling people that they're bad, essentially, or that they've been doing bad for no reason.
What's constructive criticism?
Well, maybe, I don't know. Look, you got to ask Angie's questions. I don't think there's a massive difference. I think maybe he's trying to justify his words or whatever. Look, to be fair, what I will say is, if I'm trying to get into Angie's head why he was so harsh on Timo, I'm thinking that, look, ever since Timo's come here, and there have been questions about him, and every time he's been questioned about Timo in the press conference, he's always been quite, backing him up, isn't he? He's always kind of treated him with a bit of kid gloves, when he missed those chances. I think it was against Ferencvaros. Like, he was asked about him after that game, and he was saying, clearly he's a guy lacking confidence, and we need to be with him all the time, and blah blah blah. And maybe that's something that Timo has had for the last few years, because he's clearly been a player low on confidence for a while now. He's clearly been a player who hasn't been performing at his true potential that we've seen him play at his very best when he was in Germany and whatever. And he's clearly been a player not at that level for a long time. And maybe Ange did say that to try and get a reaction to go in a different direction, try and be a bit like harsher on him, because let's be honest,
everything else, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's kind of tried to support him, and he's tried to kind of support him out of this rut, and it just hasn't worked. And he's been getting worse, to be honest. And his performances haven't improved. I think yesterday the big disappointment for Ange probably was the fact that we are out on our feet at the moment. We have got a massive lack of options, and Timo just didn't look like he wanted to be there. He looked like he wanted to be anywhere else but on that pitch, and that is simply not good enough when, as he said, we've got an 18-year-old playing in a makeshift centre-back role where he's having to dig deep and put in a big job for the team, in tough circumstances, and we've got a German international on our left wing looking like he'd rather be anywhere else, and that's probably where the frustration is. And I get the frustration, to be honest, and if that's what he's trying to do, then fine, I don't really mind it, but it doesn't look good when, as you say, a day ago he said he won't criticise players publicly, and then he goes and says that.
Yeah, it's very contradictory from Ange.
I guess what are the actual quotes?
Timo, in my opinion, probably did deserve to get called out yesterday, because he was embarrassing for the most time. Like, I thought he started the game well, but for the most part of that first half, he was completely embarrassing. He was.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I mean, it's not the first time he's been embarrassing, but it was especially under those circumstances.
But it's like you say, when you back a player, you actually signed him twice.
Yeah.
And then nothing ever changes, doesn't get better. I mean, we have been actually praising Timo over the last few weeks, saying he has been making an impact when he's been coming on, and he's looking all right. But in times like this, when you really need him, when the rest of the team are completely out on their feet, overplaying, and you're the one guy, the one senior player in the squad that hasn't really been overplayed, you got to be taking that game by the scruff of the neck.
In terms of the actual quotes, he said, in the moment we're in now, I need everyone to be at least going out there and giving the best they can. What he produced wasn't acceptable. When I'm asking the younger players to do massive jobs, I expect more from senior players like him. I wonder if a bit of it as well was maybe frustration that he went very early, right? I'm assuming he was, big part of the decision making to bring him back here for another year loan, and maybe part of the frustration is we're now 6 months in to the re-signing of him, and it just hasn't worked. He's probably not even as good as he was last year when he was here, and he wasn't even amazing. He was all right, but he wasn't like amazing at all. And maybe he thought he could get that extra level out of him, and it's kind of backfired. And maybe that he's frustrated in himself that he went out to bat to bring Timo back, and it hasn't worked.
The reality is, right, he's been proved wrong. If this was Ange's decision to bring him back, which I still don't 100% believe it is, but look, let's say it is.
I mean, it was right at the beginning of the window.
Let's just say it is, right? Let's say it is for argument's sake. We're never going to know. Let's just say it is, right? Because that's the safe thing to assume. Like, he's been proved wrong. The fan base tried to tell him. Everyone tried to tell him. Everyone said this ain't going to be a good deal. Well, the majority of people, we definitely sat here and said it's a shocking decision to bring Timo back, particularly so early on in the window. And he's the one that kept backing him. So I agree. I think it's just sheer frustration of he's starting to realise or probably has realised a while ago how much of a bad decision it actually was to bring Timo back.
In terms of the definition of the word criticism, it says the expression of disapproval of someone or something on the basis of perceived faults or mistakes. It definitely sounds like criticism to me by Ange.
Yeah.
So I don't know how he can say it's not criticism. I mean, it sounds like criticism to me.
But you compare it as well, like Pedro Porro as well, who's been terrible over the past month. Not had a great season by any stretch of the imagination, but particularly bad over the past 3 or 4 games. Yesterday, man, I was getting so frustrated with Pedro. His decision-making of late has been so poor. So poor.
And that's what Ange said in today's press conference.
Is that what he said?
He was asked about what he was saying to Porro at the end of the game, and he was saying, he's basically, I think right at the end of the game, he does this volley pass back to Forster and really puts us in trouble when we're drawing the game. And he's just thinking, he was saying to him, look, you've got to be clear-headed. You can't be making these stupid mistakes and nearly costing us a goal out of nothing when we're got ourselves back in the game, and you're doing these volley passes back to Forster. Like, you got to be smarter than that. You got to be more composed than that. And that's what he said. He was saying that he was talking about Porro after the game. They were clearly in conversation for quite a bit.
They zoomed into
it
on TV.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, but to be fair, the difference between Porro and Werner is Porro is playing every single minute of every game at the moment, pretty much. And Werner is very much in and out. He shouldn't be one of those players who are out on their feet. Porro's maybe going to, not that we need excuses at the moment, but if anyone's got an excuse, Porro has more excuses than Werner why he's at the performance level he's at.
But it's also Ange's fault that he is playing every single game because he's got another right back there which he refuses to use in Jed Spence. There is no need for Porro to be as tired as he is, and Ange is doing this to himself, and that's the reality. And some of the decisions Pedro was making yesterday, there were times where, first of all, he got caught out of position so many times. Like, it was like a free-for-all down that right-hand side for them at times, for their left-hand side. Sometimes he would just get the ball and just boot it forward for no reason. Just boot it forward, literally. Just give the ball back to Rangers, literally for no reason. There was one time when we were on the attack, and Pedro actually had some options, and he tried to, slide the ball through 2 players' legs as like a double nutmeg to feed it through to Son. And I'm like, why are you trying that? Like, there are so many different options that you can play, and you're doing that. It's just like, it's beggars belief. Like, what is he doing?
Look, I don't remember that kind of specifics, but I do know he didn't have a good game. And look, to be fair, if I'm defending the fullbacks at the moment, first of all, they are overplayed, but that's by the by. But the role that they play in the team, it is a very complicated role compared to the other positions, I think. And I think sometimes they've got to be inverted, sometimes they're out wide, sometimes they're supporting the attack, sometimes they've got to be traditional fullbacks back in position. And there's a lot of work, there's a lot of effort. And so if we got caught in transition, they got to run all the way back and get back in position, and then they got to go back in the middle. And it's a lot to take in, and especially right now where they're playing a lot, playing at a high intensity. Maybe they're mentally fatigued as much as they're physically fatigued, I think, is probably something. And as you say, Ange has options. He's got Spence there, and he's definitely been massively underused. Obviously, Gray is playing centre-back at the moment, so we can't even use him there at the moment. But I do feel for the fullbacks because I kind of feel like they need a break, and they're just not getting it at the moment. And look, and also he has one centre back, but he can't even rest both of them because Spence can only play one of the positions. But he should be using him more. He should be rotating one of them, whether it be Udogie and Porro, and getting Spence on the pitch. And he obviously can't do it yesterday because Spence isn't in the Europa squad. But definitely in Premier League games, he should have been using him a lot more.
This is I'm not saying all of it is self-inflicted, but a lot of it, there's some elements to our rut at the moment that is self-inflicted. You look at the Spence and Porro situation, which is self-inflicted. You look at the Van de Ven situation, and Van de Ven was clearly not ready to play. He even said it after the game. Van de Ven was a worry coming into the game, so why are you playing him? Why? And now he's out for another 2-3 weeks. These things are self-inflicted, and the manager, the guy that's leading us, needs to be making better decisions than that to try to guide us out of this rut. But these self-inflicted errors and mistakes coming from our manager is putting us in this situation even deeper.
I think with the Van de Ven situation, he said he trained. I think he said the plan was to play him 70 minutes. I think he went off on 79, right? So I think what happened was he was going to plan to play him 70, and then Romero goes off injured. And then he thought, can I push him for another 20 minutes? And obviously that backfired. But I think that was probably the thinking, if I'm in Ange's head. But I agree. He in terms of the position he's putting the squad in, they're struggling, and a lot of he's not really helping it a lot of the time in terms of his squad selection, and he's maybe trying to get too much out of these players that maybe they're not capable of right now in terms of the level of effort, the level of intensity, and clearly they're not, because you can see with the performances they've declined. They're not as good. We're struggling to stay in games at the moment. We're clearly struggling with intensity. I think a big part of Ange's football is the ability to physically dominate teams and get on and assert yourself on them. And we're not able to do it right now. We're clearly not able to do it. Teams are outrunning us. I don't know about outrunning. I don't know about the stats are, but clearly they're physically dominating us right now.
It feels like they're outrunning us.
They might be. I don't know what the stats are, but they're clearly physically dominating us. I think you can clearly see that on the pitch. They're winning the 50-50s. They're getting there first when we're not. And it's a struggle. Look, to be fair to Tottenham, just like I said again in the Fulham game, and I think it does mean something. Even when we were playing very, very badly, we did still put a move together and we found a moment to score. And it was a really good team goal. And I think credit to the team where in a game, again, we weren't playing well and we were struggling against a Rangers side who were much the better side throughout. We still found a moment to put a move together and we found a moment of quality and it got us a point.
But I felt like, the sub he made at half-time obviously didn't do the team too many favours. I thought Kulusevski, before the substitutes, wasn't that great. I thought he was struggling in the game, but then as soon as we made the triple sub with half an hour to go, we started to get our rhythm. We started to get into the game. We had a focal point up front with Dom Solanke. Kulusevski started to run the show a little bit. I think he created like 3 chances, more than anyone on the pitch in the whole game, over 90 minutes, and he only played 45. So you saw the changes that he made with half an hour to go clearly impacted the game, and it was a great goal, over a little dummy from James Maddison. Who put the cross in?
I think it would have been a foul if Decky doesn't score, but
Solanke puts the cross in.
Decky plays Solanke up in behind.
And then Solanke puts the cross in, dummy from Maddison, and obviously Kulusevski finishes it. So
I think it was a foul, Maddison.
Was it a foul?
I think so. From where I was sitting, it looked like Maddison was going to take it, and he gets taken out.
Well, good that he got taken out because it fell to Dejan Kulusevski, and I felt at that point it looked like we might have gone on to win the game. We were actually asserting our dominance at that point for at least 10-15 minutes, and we were looking good. But then the tide turned again. Yeah,
and they had that goal ruled out for offside. Which on replay was very clearly offside, but still that was a warning sign. And then their striker who comes off the bench, bundled his way through Archie Gray.
He's their number one striker.
And you can see. I mean, you can see that he's a real physical presence. He bundled his way through, and it looks like bam, they're going to score a winner. But big Fraser Forster, big left foot, sticking it out.
What a save that was!
Brilliant save, and saved us a point.
There was another save in the first half as well. Fingertips just over the bar. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes, I mean, he didn't seem to be stretching too much for it, though. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't one he dived for. He kind of just stuck his hand out.
Yeah,
was that
it was
one?
like when he stretched up top.
Yeah. So I don't know if it was going in or not, or one of those ones.
I think it was going in.
Maybe. Okay, so that's a good save as well. But and that was a big save again. Apart from that save, there was a couple of saves there, as you said, the one he tipped over and the one late in the game. I don't think he was called into too much action, but obviously he had to make some saves during the game.
He was our best player though,
for sure, because we struggled. As you said, we got the good goal to equalise, and you thought the momentum was with us, but we didn't really take control of it. And Rangers will definitely feel aggrieved they didn't win the game, because they should have won the game with the possession they have. I wouldn't say with the chances, probably with the chances as well, because they had better chances than us, but they probably didn't do enough with the possession they had, I would say.
Well, the XG stats for the game was 1.28 for them and 0.87 to us.
Yeah, that's exactly my point.
They had 2 big chances, we had 0.
Yeah, but the 1.28 and 0.8 that's negligible. That's basically 1-1. That suggests the game should finish 1-1, basically. That tells me that Rangers probably didn't do enough with what they had, because they got themselves in a lot of promising positions, like out wide in good positions to get good crosses in, and they weren't able to really fashion too many clear-cut opportunities.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the two chances were the goal and the chance right at the end. That was it.
There's a lot of discourse after the game on social media about Rodrigo Bentancur's performance. I don't know if you saw, like, a lot of people saying he played well, a lot of people saying he was really poor.
Got taken off on the hour.
I know, but I thought it was a bit of a mix and match. I thought he was doing all right at times in the first half. I mean, our midfield was like a gaping hole, wasn't it? He couldn't do everything on his own, but I felt like he did a few important things where I think about three defensive corners that we had, he won the ball like 3 times in a row. I felt like he was putting himself about a little bit, but then in the second half, he just went completely missing.
Yeah, and for a player who's obviously not played a lot of football, and
he didn't look that fit.
Exactly, he's not. But maybe it's a case of because he's not been playing football, he's struggling to keep that sharpness potentially. I don't like. Maybe that's the reason. But for a player, as we've said, he's on a 7-match ban. He's for him to be taken off on the hour. Ange must have really felt like he's not playing well, because he's a player that we need to play right now because he can't play in the Premier League. So Ange deciding to take him off on the hour mark, for me, tells me that Ange was not happy with him. Obviously, he took Basuma off on similar time, same time as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
So that tells me that, and there was not another player who can't play on Sunday.
But Basuma has been playing a lot, though.
Yeah, that's fair ugh. But as well, he's a player that he can't play on Sunday.
Because he was awful.
Yeah, he's been awful for the past couple games, to be honest. He's in bad form, and we struggled in that midfield battle. But you would have thought going into it, Bentancur, Basuma and Maddison, by that 3 should be able to do something in the middle, and they just weren't up to it. They just got bullied in the middle.
The thing is with Maddison, like, he kept trying to make something happen, Maddison, but he just kept failing every time.
Yeah.
Like, nothing was coming off for him, and with a player of Maddison's ability, needs to be doing a lot more with the amount of possession that he had in the game. And that free kick thing pissed me off, man, because they showed it clearly on TV. Sonny goes up to it, Sonny wants to take it, and Maddison just goes, no, I'm taking it, and Sonny just walks away. I'm like, Sonny, you're the captain, man. If you want to take this free kick, you've got the quality to score it. And I know Maddison has the quality to score it as well, but Sonny is literally the captain. He needs to be asserting his authority to take that free kick. And we've literally seen Sonny score from that exact position before. We did a watch-along here in the studio for it, Korea against Australia in the Asia Cup. So, look, I know Maddison has the quality, and if he scores the free kick, probably no one's talking about it. But he didn't score it. And if Sonny wants to take it, Sonny never gets to take free kicks because everyone's always taking it off him. Like
Porro and Maddison ahead of him.
Why doesn't... But Sonny should be... if he wants to take it, he should be asserting his authority.
Yeah, I mean, you would like to think so as a leader, but obviously maybe as well part of him being a leader is in those moments allowing Maddison to take it. Look, I don't know in training what the stats are like, who scores more free kicks and all that kind of stuff. Maybe Porro and Maddison are just better, and that's why they get the nod every time. And if we were in training and watching them to practice free kicks, maybe we would see that. And because we don't, maybe we don't know that. But I don't know. I mean, if Son could take it, and we'll probably also miss. So I don't think it's a big deal. But if Sonny is coming over to it and he never gets a chance to take one, and he's like, I'm feeling this one I'm taking, then he shouldn't let Maddison bully him off it, for sure, especially as the leader in the group. But maybe that's also part of leadership, allowing Maddison to take it. Maybe that's also part of it.
But it needs to be a bit of both, right? You need to show a bit of authority as well, where Sonny, whenever the situation comes, he always just hands it over. There's never... When a set piece comes, Sonny just takes the authority, being like, look, this is my ball, I'm going to take it. Like the James Maddison one with Richarlison for the penalty, right? He asserted his authority, but then after he asserted his authority, he was like, all right, fine, I'm going to give it to you because it means more for you right now to get that goal. Sonny didn't assert his authority.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen the incident, to be honest, but then if that's the case... then he should definitely be a bit more.
He's too nice, Sonny. As much as I love him, he is too nice sometimes in these situations. And Brennan Johnson,
but he did that. You remember in the South Korea in the Asia Cup, Hwang wanted that penalty in the last minute, and he gave it to him, and he scored. Like, I don't know, maybe that's part of leadership as well.
Yeah, but we haven't seen it for Spurs though.
I mean, if Maddison scores, are we
That's why I said if Maddison scores, then we're not talking about it because it's not a situation because he misses. So I guess it's probably not the biggest point in the world, but I have seen this a number of times with Sonny. And Sonny's got the quality, man. He's got so much quality from those kind of dead ball situations. So I just feel like
who's the free kick taker? Described one.
Well, if it is Maddison, then why is Sonny picking up the ball and clearly wanting to take it?
Because maybe you just felt it. Sometimes you feel like I can get this one in. Like sometimes as a footballer, I'm sure they all have moments where I feel this one. Let me take it. But maybe Maddison's the prescribed free kick taker.
Brennan Johnson as well, another ghost performance from him.
Yeah.
I thought it was absolutely shocking once again from the right side and from the left side, more of the same. There was one moment where he tried to take on his man in the first half, and that was pretty much the only time we saw him.
To the left, to the right, he's always fucking shy. He had that one chance, didn't he? Decky pulled it back for him on that, and he was coming in, and he blazed over the bar. Similar to the goal he would have scored against Roma. But this time he didn't get it on target. And then he had that chance in the first half, which I think was offside anyway, which Werner puts it in for him, and he gets in front of his man and obviously hits the goalkeeper. I think that but for Brennan, I think we've come to get used to the fact that that's just his role, getting on the end of those kind of things or getting a ball into the box. Like, he's just not going to be a player who's involved in all facets of the game and is taking on people, and he's always looking great.
He's got it in his locker to do it, though. He's got the attributes with his speed, like to knock it past a man and just burn past him.
I think he's definitely got it in his locker to be more involved. But I think his role in the team is to do that, is to be a bit of a fox in the box. He's a good finisher, clearly. He gets on the end of things. And when he gets his opportunity to get beyond his man, to get the ball in the box, I think that's primarily his role. And he's effective at doing that. But I've said it before. I said it before the season. I stand by it. He's not the best footballer in the world. He's just an effective footballer who can do a job. You ask him to do it, and that's why he has 10 goals and he's got a good number of goal contributions, because he is effective at doing those jobs. But when it comes to him, taking a game by the scruff of the neck and things like that, he's just not that player. And at the moment anyway, look, he's still young. He's 22, 23, so maybe he'll grow into that player. But right now, where he's at, that's just not what he's able to do. And when other players are not doing it, like when we have Werner continuously losing the ball and we got Son not holding the ball up, more often than not it means Brendan's completely out of the game. When you've got Solanke and Decky there and they're able to create chances and hold the ball and actually get the ball into the box, all of a sudden he becomes alive. But when we've got games like yesterday where every time we get the ball to the front three it's bouncing back because we got no one to hold the ball, he's out of the game. And you're right. It's fair to criticise him for that, because just because he's that type of player doesn't mean we shouldn't want him to improve and do better. But we also have to just realise that's his role in the team, and that's just how I see it.
Yeah, we spoke about the impact that Solanke made, obviously, with giving a presence. I thought Sarr as well helped stem the tide in the middle of the park where it was a gaping hole, and he just added a bit of a presence in there. But Lucas Bergvall, man, 3 performances in a row now. He's come on and made a real positive impact. He got half an hour this time, so longer than usual. Surely he's pushing for a start now. With Bentancur and Bissouma out for Southampton, I mean, you've got to start him, surely.
Yeah, I mean, we're lacking options. The only other thing you would do is, I mean, we'll get into the particular lineup. The only other thing you could do is put Sarr on the 6 and play Maddison and Decky. But I think Bergvall, the way he's played in the last three games, I think he's well worth a start. I think he has to play, because I think he's come on, he's been composed, he's actually really added to the team in times when we've been struggling, all 3 games actually. And I think he's been a shining light in the latter stages, especially yesterday. He didn't have to do anything too complicated, just got on the ball, progressed it, moved the ball forward, kept things simple, was calm, was composed. There was one moment where he had the ball and he passed out wide, and the referee gave a foul against him. I was like, why is that a foul?
Did you see it back? You're talking about the booking?
Yeah.
So basically he passed it, and with his follow through of his pass, he caught the player. And I was like, how can you give a booking for that? It was the most ridiculous thing.
I mean,
and the foul, he did another foul, right, where I thought he might have got sent off. And that was more of a booking than the first one.
No, it's ridiculous. But I guess, what do you do? Do you put him in the 6? Do you put him in the 8?
I play Bergvall in the 6, Sarr and Kulusevski on the weekend.
Maybe that's what he'll do. But I think it's very encouraging because Bergvall, there was even a point where we were thinking about, do we put him on loan, or is he struggling too much? But as I've said, I've been pretty consistent. I think for an 18-year-old coming from the Swedish league, how he's performed so far this season, I think he's done really well. And I think the last 3 appearances in the Premier League have only reinforced that, and he seems to be getting better. He seems to be getting more acclimatised to this level. And look, to be fair, it's only small cameos in the grand scheme of things. 10 minutes against Bournemouth, 10 minutes against Chelsea, and now was half an hour yesterday. But obviously yesterday was his longest stretch on the pitch, and he definitely helped the team massively. And I'm really starting to get more and more impressed with him, and I think he should have more of a role to play, to be honest. If he's going to perform like that, he's impacting games, so I think he should be getting more minutes. And I think, give him a start in the Premier League, see how he does. It doesn't work, you've still got Maddison there, you can put Sarr in the 6, so you've got options. But if he does do well, all of a sudden you could be an option.
Yeah, I think 2 players emerging right now in Gray and Bergvall, who everyone's saying they need more minutes. I think both of them are really standing up for the team at the moment. I was very impressed with Gray at centre-back, completely out of position. I was very worried with Gray coming in at centre-back. Obviously, it might be a different kettle of fish doing it in the Premier League, because we're going to have to play Liverpool with Gray at centre-back. So obviously, it's going to be a different case there, but in that game, in that isolated game, I was very happy with Gray at centre-back alongside Bergvall coming on.
Yeah, agreed. I don't think him and Dragusin covered himself in too much glory with the goal. I think they were both kind of marking the same man, and it just left Porro at the back post with the striker, and obviously he scored. But I think in general, he did really well. And especially in the circumstances, didn't get bullied. I don't remember too many mistakes. When he had the ball as well, he was good with his passing. He got the ball forward well, played the ball just crisply out wide when needed to, didn't make too many mistakes, looked comfortable. In a game where it would have been very easy for him to be completely out of his depth, and he wasn't. He stepped up, so fair play to Archery. Obviously, even I think on the weekend it's going to be even a different kettle of fish, because Southampton is a Premier League side and Rangers were a much changed Scottish team. So on the weekend it's going to be a different challenge, but at least you'd say you were comfortable with what you saw with him on Thursday night, and fair play to him, did well, and under trying circumstances.
Yeah. So in terms of the Europa League now, we sit in 9th on 11 points. Rangers are 8th on 11 points. Man United, Galatasaray are 6th and 7th on 12 points. And Lyon and Frankfurt are 4th and 5th on 13. And Anderlecht 3rd on 14. So with 2 games left to play, Hoffenheim away and Elfsborg at home. Mm-hmm. You got to say, probably, 4 points? 4 points?
4 points, you're pretty guaranteed, I would say, especially with Rangers play Man United, who are both in the top 8. Then that's the next game. I haven't analysed the fixtures, so I don't know who else in the top 8 play each other. But I know Rangers play Man United. So if we win the next game, we're back in the top 8, we're guaranteed, because both of them can't take points. Even if they draw, we go above them. So it still leaves us in a good position. And as Ange said, which is a very good point, we don't play again till mid-Jan. So hopefully by that point we'll have a bit more of a full squad. We'll be in a much better position. I'm pretty safe. I think it's pretty safe to say that 4 points would get you in the top 8.
Ajax play Galatasaray as well, and Ajax are just 1 point behind us.
Okay.
So if Ajax can do something there and nick a draw or something, there are a few matches I think that are head to head with the top 6.
So if we can get 4 points, I'm pretty guaranteed. I think you probably still make it even with 1 win. I think even 1 win, you probably sneak in there. I'm not guaranteed, but I think you probably do. I think if we don't win either game, I think there's probably no chance we get it.
Yeah.
So I think 1 win I think you have an outside chance of doing it with 1 win. 4 points, I think you're pretty guaranteed. Obviously 2 wins, you're definitely there. So I think it gives us a good opportunity. I think at the end, I think I agree with Ange. I think we might look back at this point and think it's a valuable point in the grand scheme of things, because I think we can get into that top 8. I think with the games we have left, there's no reason not to be in that top 8 after those 2 games. I think there's 4 points there. If we can get a draw at Hoffenheim and beat Elfsborg, I think that'll be it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Obviously, Hoffenheim's first, so if you put a draw, it does put a bit of pressure to win that last game. So obviously, if we can beat Hoffenheim, I think that will take the pressure off.
Look, if we can't beat Elfsborg at home, then we don't deserve to be in the tournament. Let's be real. We got to beat Elfsborg at home, no matter what lineup we play.
Yeah, for sure.
Even if you play a Lancashire up top and and chuck a few kids in there, we got to be taking 3 points from that game, no matter what.
Yep.
We don't deserve to be in the top 8 if we don't win that game.
100%. Albeit, Elfsborg have shown they can give teams a game this in
Yeah,
this Europa League.
regardless, man. There are worlds apart between Elfsborg and Tottenham in terms of stature in the football and the players that we have at our disposal.
But if it's a game where we need to win, I don't think we're going to play the kids, are we? We'll have to go strong.
Yeah, well, regardless, I would say even if we do have to, if we do play the kids, we should be winning. So if we don't play the kids, then there's even less excuses.
Look, we should be in that. I'm pretty confident we're going to be in that top 8. Regardless, I think how are we definitely there in the top 24?
For sure. Because there's so many teams in between, we're actually not that many points off. So Elfsborg are 24th. They're on 7 points.
And we're
on 11
10.
points.
We're 11. Oh, 4 points. That is
so
quite...
4 points with 2 games to go and the amount of teams that are in between us.
Yeah, we should be all right.
Yeah. When we were losing, it was 3 points. So, but even then, with the amount of teams that are in between us, it would have been hard to drop out of it.
Yeah. So I think it's a valuable point. I do think it's a valuable point, and I think it puts us in a position where it's in our own hands. I think just get the 4 points. Obviously, I think aim for 6. I think if you get 6, you probably get into the top 5 probably. But yeah, I think 4 points should do it.
All right, well, that is our match review of the game last night. Rangers won, Tottenham won in another terrible display for Tottenham Hotspur.